discharged in the new.
You want a balloon? Good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. It's Halloween, spooky season. Look into my dead lights. Yes, Stephen King may be a piece of liberal garbage, but Pennywise the Clown and It, definitely one of my favorite novels and movies growing up as a kid. Still gives me the jitters. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. We're going to have a great time today. We've got a lot of great content. It's Culturama Tuesday. Beware. Radioactive communist zombies have invaded the United States. They come from outer space. One woman stands against them for truth, justice, and the American way. Daniela Pensack launches Culturama on the For Liberty Network tonight. Yeah. Hopefully it all goes off without a hitch and we don't get one of these. If so, she's going to be running around tonight. She's going to be so scared if things don't work. Things just break on shows. It happens. Opening night, you got the jitters. It's going to be a great show. And then Thursday night, after the second episode of Culturama this week, you get to watch the Liberty Tonight boys. Whoa. Well, you guys got hecklers already. That's good. That means you'll be very popular. From 7 to 9 p.m. Central, Tuesdays and Thursdays, you'll be watching Culturama. From 11 to 9 p.m. on Thursday nights, you'll be watching Liberty Tonight. It's too late, Austin. I get up and I watch the Wake Up America show. There's something for everybody. Some people get up early. Now we're going to catch some of the night viewers. We're glad to have you guys here watching the Wake Up America show. Kamala Harris to go on Joe Rogan? Not going to happen. If I were Kamala Harris's advisor and I actually wanted her to get elected and not sabotage her, I would say, do not go on Joe Rogan. If I didn't want her to get elected, if I wanted to sabotage her, I would say, hey, let's go. Kamala, go on Joe Rogan. You know what we really need is we need a supercut of just 2 hours of this on Joe Rogan for, just
I don't know what's wrong with
the
you
memes
young people.
alone.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
LW78, nice to see you, brother. We got our resident black libertarian in the house. We'll have two of them today. Adam Coleman's going to join us today to talk. Oh, I thought it was just going to be about, we were going to talk about Barack Obama's pitch to black voters and how he was kind of cracking down on the brothers. And apparently Kamala Harris, I shit you not. And I can't wait to talk to Adam Coleman about this today at 8:30 a.m. Central. So you do not want to miss a minute of today's show. I got a billion clips. I've got funny, I've got laughy, I've got cry. Kamala Harris appears to propose new race-based payments as support from black men lags. Excuse me?
I can first.
I'm sorry, but no
offense, but it sounds like that's some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Thank you, Norm, but watch your language. Kamala Harris proposes new race-based systems as support from black men lags. We need a black man on this case. Adam Coleman's going to join us today at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. We're going to love talking to him. I also love talking to Camelia Peterson. And especially last weekend when we hung out at Herman, Missouri for Oktoberfest, and she wore her dirndl. She looked so pretty. Like a little Helga und Heidi, ja. I was telling my wife about the movie Heidi I watched as a kid. We got to show it to little baby Hazel. Never seen Heidi. It's the whitest movie ever made. It's one step removed from Uns das Reich, Erika, Stav von Jan kun Feisch und das Reich und das Wunder Wunder Wunschkast Feisch. How much of that was real German? We don't know. Some of it was. Reportedly. Allegedly. Nilla, please, says Floby Tenderson. You can't use that word. That's our word, Floby. You can't use Nilla, please. Come on. Nilla, please. Is that how the show's going to be today? Camelia Peterson joins us at 8 a.m. Central Time today. Say people aren't having enough sweet lovemaking and eating their delicious cream pies. Oh, yeah.
Do not come.
Excuse me?
Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
Is there any, like... Now, listen, I know this is hilarious, but that clip, what you just heard right there, is it couldn't be more stark in the choices that we have. We have closed legs, nay cobwebs, Kamala Harris, put it in a vice, chew it up raw, cut it off, serve it up as sashimi for dinner, and trans the kids. Or you got Donald Trump, sweet lovemaking in the back of like the type of car that was made in the 1960s and 70s that had like little love seats in it, and it has like shag carpet, and you're drinking a full heavy Budweiser beer, but you've got like some extra stuff there, and maybe there's a little like Colombian marching powder in the back seat right there, right? And you're making, and this is the story. And you got like the stash, right? And you're making sweet love to your 1980s, swimsuit wearing, Baywatch looking, and you look like David Hasselhoff, and you got like all of the chest hair and things like that, and you're very virile, and you can have lots of kids, lots of healthy, strong children. Yes, that's what Donald Trump is versus nay cobwebs. Am I wrong? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. You can send me a text. 573-319-1586 is the text line. That's 573-319-1586. Harris campaign in talks with Joe Rogan about possible podcast interview. Not going to happen. I would be willing to put money if anybody out there wants to bless me with something. Let's make a bet.
Can you bless me with something?
Oh, gosh.
Money-wise. Please.
Can you suck it?
Squeeze me? Man, this show is rated R this morning. Will you please turn it down, AP? We need something a little bit more family-friendly. How about this beautiful photo of our favorite Daniela Pensack, one of the 4 Liberty Network's newest stars? She says, this Halloween season, tune in to my new show, Culturama, streaming on all major platforms, including Rumble, X, YouTube, and Twitch. Golly gee, this sounds great, with a classic Americana vibe to refresh the tired souls so often cultivated in our modern society. Dead. Culturama will reclaim the zeitgeist with a focus on bleeding-edge commentary and putting down the ghost of Marxism and the Reds once and for all. Hell yes. Kamala Harris be like,
how dare you?
Joe Biden be like,
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
There it is. So check it out tonight. We're all watching Daniela, 7 to 9. Yes, campaign ads flying fast and furious. Big news stories. Probably the biggest, most powerful campaign ad of the season might be this one right here. Take a listen.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Oh my God. See that old black lady hugging him? Look at there. Look at like the sexy Latina family. That's definitely B-roll. But here we go. Look at that. You can't fake something like that. Oh. You guys ever seen The Stand? She reminds me a little bit of the grandma, the black grandma character in The Stand. She's like, she's got the shining. She's got the shinning. Right? She can kind of see things. She can foretell the future. Here she is blessing him. She's the oracle. She's the oracle from The Matrix. You know what I'm saying? Kara Smith, get out of here with your stupid links. You want to advertise my show? Pay me. BLM activist Sydney Wilson was shot and killed by a cop over her skin color. That's what the BLM activists say. The body cam footage shows something a little different. Yikes. I mean, just from a photograph perspective, if we're being completely honest here, he was approaching her with a gun. So, if I'm just kidding. What's the full story? AP, community notes. notes that Sydney Wilson, a black woman, was indeed shot and killed by a police officer. The body cam footage shows Sydney attacked the officer who was responding to a welfare call. Sydney slashed his forehead with a knife. He tried to retreat, but was attacked again before he fired his weapon. And you can see here, Washington Post, NBC, Washington, Fox 5 DC. Well, this is considered to be a racist attack. But if it's racist, it's probably racist against the Asian man, because she did attack him with a knife, and, well, everything is racist. Everything's a little bit racist there. You don't need to do all of this kind of stuff. But Donald Trump's going to put up the best performance with black voters despite Asian cops shooting black women since Nixon in 1960. Among Hispanics, Donald Trump's going to put up the best performance for Republicans since 2004. Take a listen.
I mean, the bottom line.
Barney Styles, thank you, Mother Abigail. I appreciate that.
The bottom line is this. At this particular hour, if you believe the polling, Donald Trump's going to put up the best performance with black voters since Richard Nixon back in 1960. Not 68, since 1960. That's 64 years ago. Among Hispanic voters, Donald Trump's going to put up the best performance for Republicans since 2004 and George W. Bush. I mean, the bottom line is this. At this particular hour, if you believe the polling, Donald Trump's going to put up the best performance with black voters since Richard Nixon back in 1960.
They're freaking out, man. They're freaking out, man. So, yeah. So if Kamala Harris is going to go on Joe Rogan and for 2 hours, she's going to somehow talk like this.
There's this whole, I talked with somebody once who said, if you just look at where the stars are in the sky, don't look at them as just random things. If you just look at them as points, look at the constellation. What does it show you?
So you
just outlined it, Roland. What does it show you?
What does it show you? Yikes. Yikes. What the hell was that? What was that? I would love to get your feedback. And when you send me text messages at 573-319-1586, it makes me happy. That's 573-319-1586 for the text line. But you should have really just gone ahead and programmed it in. 573-319-1586. Joe Rogan, 2 hours. I don't think that's going to make it. Well, she needs a surrogate. She needs somebody to come out and to make her look better. Kamala Harris is struggling because she's just not that likable. So who's likable? Well, this young gentleman is likable.
You got a case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant.
That's a great idea. Bring that up.
Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened.
Oh, my God. Is this a Trump? He's turning into Joe Biden. Is this a Donald Trump anti-immigration rally here? Bill Clinton getting up there. Look, he's wearing the camo hat. That just strikes me as so hilarious. These people are so completely out of touch. This is a man who there was a painting of him wearing a blue dress, the Monica Lewinsky blue dress, inside of this multi-billionaire financier kitty diddler with a private island. This guy right here, to put on a camo hat, the Harris Waltz camo hat thing, it's so insulting, the ploy for voters that they make. It's not just to black men, just men in general, like men like myself. Here's the thing. I love musical theater, okay, but you don't hire the musical theater dancer guys to go do the commercial for I'm a lumberjack, you know what I mean? Or at least hire good actors. You would think, that's the problem is that the good actors are people, the Gary Busey or name some famous actors. They're all on Team Kamala. It would break the illusion that there are normal people who support Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, because there aren't normal people who support them. But this whole but Bill Clinton goes to a rally, wears a camo hat, and suddenly he fits in. Instead, he goes on an anti-immigrant tirade essentially here. That wouldn't have happened if you'd had proper vetting. Well, thank you, Bill. We appreciate that you agree with us as Republicans. We look forward to your vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened. But if they're all properly vetted, and that doesn't happen, and America is not having enough babies to keep our populations up.
Okay, it's a natalist rally. The Kamala Harris campaign's got to be listening to that going, oh my God, Bill, please shut up. We're trying to kill babies. We're trying to stop them from breeding so we can bring in immigrants, because that's what Bill Clinton said. He was complaining about not enough people coming in. Here he goes.
So we need immigrants that have been vetted to do work.
Wait, so kill your own babies, and then we don't have enough people, so we need to import more people because we keep killing the babies that we have. It doesn't make any sense. Is anybody else seeing this, or am I out of touch? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Send me a text, 573-319-1586. It just so happens that we're lucky enough to have Camellia Peterson to join us to talk about knocking boots. Well, not the act, not the coital act. But that which is produced from it, the fruit of your loins. Having enough babies seems like it's a problem, but the Malthusian leftists say that there's too many people on this planet. So how can you say there's too many people on this planet? We need fewer people. Okay, well, then we commit abortions and we kill our own generation, but then we need to grow the economy, so we need to bring in people from around the world. And it's like, they can't see. The thing is they just can't leave people. They can't fathom a world where their grand schemes and plans for us of what they want, how they want to engineer the future. They can't imagine just that they might just leave us alone. Leave us the alone. Leave us the alone. And if you leave us alone, we'll all be able to thrive, and we will have more children. I'm going to have more children, despite the terrible toll it has taken on my wife. I love my wife, Stephanie, and I love my baby, Hazel, and I want more babies. Gimme some more babies right now. Adam Coleman, who speaks to us at 8:30 a.m., shared this clip on social media. He's going to talk to us about it later today. Take a listen.
Obama. He recently in Pittsburgh.
President,
let's get it right.
Yes.
Yeah, President. President Barack Obama. He was campaigning for you in Pittsburgh before some students at the University of Pittsburgh, which is my alma mater. And he said some things that really ruffled some feathers in the news. He said, "It makes me think you aren't just feeling the idea of having a woman as a president. You're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. We have not seen the same kind of energy and turnout in all corners of our neighborhoods and community as we saw when I was running." So when you hear those words, I'm sure you were briefed on the situation. A former Ohio State Senator, Nina Turner, she came out on CNN and said, "Why are you, putting black men up against the wall and pressuring them into something that possibly, they don't want to do if they want to vote for you or not?" So my question to you is, do you think that what President Obama said was the right thing to say?
Let me tell you, I am very proud to have the support of President Obama, and that he is out traveling to talk with voters about what is at stake in this election. I'm very proud to have his support. What is also important is, one, to understand, like as I said, I intend to earn the vote of everyone, including black men. Two, pay attention to everything that President Obama talked about, because he also talked about at length the danger of Donald Trump.
I was actually a nice pivot there, Kamala.
I can first.
And of course, there are very fine people on both sides lie. Donald Trump campaign in response shared this yesterday.
I grew up a middle class kid.
Wow. I didn't know that. I just, you're telling me now for the first time.
Excuse me. She grew up in a middle class family. Wow. I didn't know that. You're telling me that for the first time. From now on,
it's going to be America first, okay? America first.
Good morning, all you beautiful people. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the brand new, launching today, For Liberty Network. Blue jean baby, LA lady, seamstress for the band. Let's go get ourselves a ballerina, or the next best thing. Culturama, hosted by Danielle Pensac, is launching today. Tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time at rumble.com/Culturama. You can see Daniela's show. It will be streaming on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Twitch. My recommendation, watch it on a Rumble page, just like you're watching me on Rumble, or if you're watching us on X, we'd love to have you come back and watch it tonight right here at my account at AP4Liberty. You'll see it on rumble.com, Culturama, my X, my YouTube, my Twitch, which is Stream Liberty. But hey, I don't think anybody's watching us over on Twitch. Sometimes we see some people, creeping in 1, 2 at a time. If you're over there, Twitchers, let us know. Send us a message. You can send us a text, actually, at 573-319-1586. The text line, again, 573-319-1586. While you're listening to the show, some people listen to the audio version later, which is on iTunes and Spotify. So if you missed the live stream in the morning, immediately after the show, I cut the audio, I upload it to our distributor. And if you would like to listen to the audio version later, you can hold me closer, Tony Danza, and head over there and download it on iTunes or Spotify. Amy J.E. says, best Elton John song. But what about Yellow Brick Road? When are you gonna come down? When are you going to land? Should have stayed on the farm. Should have listened to my old man. One of the harder songs to sing from Elton Johnson. Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road. Goodbye, Yellow Brick. I'm not going to blow out your ears right now, but I will just say, watch Culturama tonight for something better than my singing. Every once in a while, you just got to burst into a song. This is America, damn it. Aren't we free enough? I know how to fight. I've seen West Side Story. So you don't hire the musical theater guys to do your advertising campaign and think that you're going to be able to get the brothers. Kamala Harris is shifting. She's pivoting. She appears to propose new race-based payments as support from black men lags. Kamala unveiled a new proposal on Monday, all but promising to distribute forgivable small business loans on the basis of race as she struggles to gain the support of black men. Oh God, we're going to be all inundated with a few new lines of cologne and a bunch of new black rap labels. The Harris campaign rolled out its opportunity agenda for black men, which proposes to give 1 million government subsidized rap labels, $20,000 loans to black entrepreneurs. Please go help your community with it, guys. If you do get it, right, do something good for your community. Build a business for yourselves and your families for sure, but do something that is going to, bring goods and services to others. Others who have historically faced barriers to starting a new business. Here comes the race pimping. To starting a new business or growing an existing business. If you've historically faced barriers to starting a new business or growing an existing business, well, bitch, I have faced some barriers to this business. The history of my life has been nothing but struggle, damn it. I was just telling Stephanie this the other day, because some of the people that we run with that are in our friend groups are of much more advanced means than Stephanie and I are. Like we live, rather modestly in comparison. Let's just say modestly in comparison. They're rich, we ain't, okay? And it's just funny because like their lifestyles, it's so hard for them to relate sometimes to the struggles of everyday people. But then when you add on this whole, we're going to steal your money too from people like my generation who are trying to get better off. You're going to also steal it and you're going to give it to somebody just because they had some historical repression. And a lot of them haven't. Kamala is not African American, right? She's Jamaican and Indian. Okay, so let's talk about the historic oppression of half Indians, half Jamaicans in the United States. I don't know. Not really in American history. There isn't, in the pantheon, there isn't, Pajit, Bob Marley, Rastafari. We've got the history of black oppression here in the United States. This is true. But your people, Kamala's people, weren't even historically attached to this country. Didn't her family come over in the 1960s and 70s? And of course, he's a black Marxist and he's trying to overthrow the United States and install communism. And then he has a daughter and she's this far left progressive who's a cop in San Francisco, now wants to become president of the United States. Why? Because you could give a few men in power a thrill up their legs and of something else, and you want to become president of the United States. I mean, listen, it's your resume here. It's concerning, not just to black men, to men like myself. When we say things like that, black men like Adam Coleman, who are going to join me today on the show at 8:30 a.m. Central Time, an hour from now. I mean, they're not stupid. I'm not stupid. You can't get men's votes. Your idea, the left's idea of men is someone like Tim Walz, right? It's those gay musical theater dudes that they hired to pretend to be men who aren't afraid of smart women. We're not afraid of smart women. I mean, this is the ad.
Taxpayer-funded sex. Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
The brothers, the black men, they are not into that shit. None of us are. They want us to be impressed by men like Tim Walz. What they want to do is they want to make people like Tim Walz shut up and sit in the corner, and they want to use them for their race or color. They think that we vote as white males, that we vote for people just because of their skin color, right? That it's most of us don't give a shit, right? We just don't want you forcing your lifestyles down our throats. Here in Jefferson City, Missouri, where I live, a rural town, the capital of Missouri, but a very small rural town. This is not the kind of life. This is not the kind of lifestyle. These are not the kind of men that we're familiar with. And if there are men like Tim Walz here in Jefferson City, and there are men like Tim Walz in Jefferson City. There's men like Tim Walz in every town, right? And listen, these are the men who are afraid of women, right? The whole concept of we're men who's not afraid of women. Yes, you are, bitch. Let me tell you something. Of all the gay and their fag hag friends relationships that I've known in my life, those boys who like clung on to the girls and they were their best friends, but he was gay and they were like, do their hair together and all this stuff. Yes, they were afraid of her. First of all, they were jealous of her. Many of them, they wanted to be her, and there was also, dressing up like her and being her, right? Like putting her up in a image. Oh, you're my queen. Yes, slay. No, ultimately, if that bitch turned on her, I mean, like they're fearful. They run away. Like I love my gay friends, but I mean, like you guys are not known for like your courage and tenacity. No offense, right? So it's a little light in the loafers. It's a little effete. It's a little soft. It's feminine. Okay. And that's fine if you want to be a gay man or feminine man. But I'm talking about men who, like myself, and if you can enjoy musical theater and above and still do martial arts and be interested in World War II and the Civil War and all that kind of stuff, then as a man, right-wing man, you can't get voters like myself turned on by guys who, no offense, love Chris Farley, but guys who act like Chris Farley. What the hell? Oh, look at him. Living in a van down by the river. I'm Tim Walz. I don't have friends and I don't really have any money or a real job, but you don't want to end up like me, living in a van down by the river. Yeah, you're not going to get white guys with that, right? So we all love our Chris Farley movies. We laugh with him. We laughed at him, and we love Chris Farley. A lot of people would like to be Chris Farley, but most men, I think, don't want to be Chris Farley because they don't want to be the fat guy that everybody gets laughed at right here. Here he is, the big, dopey, fat guy. Look at him. He's living in a van down by the river. Can't decide if he wants to jazzercise or... There's Gretchen Whitmer. See, he's terrified of her. Look at her with her sharp nose, her vicious lips, very thin. That is Karen to the max. I'm Tim Walz. You can't get white guys' votes this way. You can't vote that way with that. Sorry. Not sorry. You can get white male votes if you hire people like this and put them in the Trump administration.
My name is Matt Lohmeyer. I was an Air Force F-15 pilot, and I was a commander in your newly created U.S. Space Force. I am also the first veteran of the Space Force because under the Biden-Harris regime, I was fired from my command and lost my pension for criticizing DEI trainings that were rampant in the military. Those trainings are still dividing our troops, and thank you for saying you would fire those few woke generals who are a big problem.
They're gone.
Will you consider establishing a special task force office or position to ensure that these monsters never return to the Defense Department?
You know what I'll do? I'm going to put you on that task force. I think it's good. Not going to do better than that. I'll put you on. Beautiful. I have your approval.
Yes, sir.
And the guy even had the Chad jaw. You know what I mean? Looky here. Look at this. He's Chad. He's the meme of the Chad. He's like the wizened Chad. He's like the wise Chad. Looky here. He's got the curly hair, this Romanesque, and he's got like a good tan. You could see right here, like a farmer tan, like he's been working outside. You know, not because like see how the tan isn't complete underneath the t-shirt and stuff like that. So he looks like the type that isn't like wearing. See, he's got the t-shirt underneath the blazer. So you know he's the kind of guy who's just going to be casual, right? And he's a casual Chad, curly haired Roman god. There you go. So it's the Wake Up America show, and this week at forlibertynetwork.com, we launch the network. We launch. What does that mean? That means that Culturama launches tonight, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, and you will go to rumble.com/Culturama and join us tonight for the show. Then Thursday, same time. Thursdays, Culturama. Danielle is so alluring that she's already selling merch. We've sold mugs. Somebody bought an Adidas hoodie yesterday. Them things ain't cheap, but they're super high quality. And when you see the price, remember that does include the delivery. You can support the For Liberty Network. Help unlock the bonus content during this live show right now. Every purchase that's made at forlibertyshop.com during the live show counts towards the bonus content. So if you'd like to unlock today's bonus content, which is about the presidential we, then make some Rumble Rant donations. A little bit at a time, adds up until we hit $60 during the live show this morning. And that bonus content unlocks the documentary, the mini documentary that you can watch. And you can get the merch at forlibertyshop.com. Support the Wake Up America show's For Liberty Network. This project is to give the liberty movement in the United States a total makeover. Let's be honest, it's time. We need a new coat of paint. We need a new carburetor. We need a transistor. We need a spark plug. We need a couple of new tires. They're bald. We're running low on gas, and we might need to do a whole flush of the engine, to be quite honest. Like something's wrong with the carburetor. But it is a gas vehicle, and it will run if we build the next phase of the liberty movement for the future. Because, I got kids. I got a future. I got 18 years of responsibility at least right now, and I look forward to a flourishing United States where people like myself and yourself can make a good living, an honest living. But quite frankly, if you don't have people out there on the front lines in the trenches, people like myself, Daniela Pensack, Brian Piotr, and the king of all libertarians, then I think liberty's prospects are much more dim. So every Rumble Rant that you make to the Wake Up America show goes to help fund the For Liberty Network and our freedom-loving families. And of course, don't forget, our $17.76 a month subscribers get that sweet Peterson car Christmas card list. Yes. I eat carburetors for breakfast, Bucks Nasty said. We did not get a new camera, Nelson. Unfortunately, we're kind of like stuck figuring out a situation. So we didn't get the camera back. They saw the security footage, and it doesn't look good. So unfortunately, because of where I was sitting in a dark little area, and it was near the street, right before I hopped to the vehicle, so close. I just, getting the baby into the car, focused on her and making sure my wife and child were safe. I lost one of my studio cameras. Whoops.
How dare you?
So I got to buy a new one or find one somewhere. We shall see. Live streaming cameras, DSLRs, typically very expensive. So it might be a little bit. You might just have one camera angle now for a little bit, but I got to get something for Steffi for Friday. So we'll try and figure it out. Please do unlock that bonus content, though, and help support the For Liberty Network so we can save up for another camera, right? So the Harris campaign rolling out their opportunity agenda for Black men proposes to give $1,020,000 loans to Black entrepreneurs and others who have historically faced barriers to starting new business or growing a new business. It is a sad state of the Democratic campaign that they resort to something so blatant. At least with student loans, you knew you were getting an education and they're not forgivable, but it's just such a cash giveaway. Everybody is talking about this video this morning, and I'm not sure if I can play it without getting demonetized on YouTube. Maybe I can. It's just going to depend on a couple of factors. Let me see if I can get this pulled up for you and play it on the show. So, Georgetown, Sydney Wilson, she tried to murder a cop. Georgetown women's basketball mourns the tragic loss of Sydney Wilson, forever a Hoya. Black Lives Matter claimed that Sydney Wilson was unjustly killed by racist cops. We have the body cam footage here. I must warn you that this is quite extreme, this footage. So please look away or and come back in a few minutes if this is something that will be disturbing to you or to children. Thank you, Nelson65, getting that bonus content rolling. Yeah, cameras are over 600. Exactly. Here we go.
How are you? Oh, Jesus Christ. Back up! No! Oh, yeah! Back up, back up. Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah! Hey, man. I got nothing to do. Please back up. Oh, yeah! Back up! Oh, yeah. Back up! Back up! Back up! 531 bubble. Single one. Shots fire.
It's terrible.
What is your location?
Doesn't have to happen.
322.
That's a death rattle.
Apartment 322. 11830.
Police officers bleeding. I can't show this on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, guys, I got to stop down the stream over there on YouTube.
Start medic, please.
I don't want to lose my channel. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go to a very brief little standby screen, guys. I'll be right back, okay? Sorry. If you're on YouTube, come over to Rumble. All right, guys. So this is obviously pretty brutal stuff, and I will watch it one more time just because I think it's important for my role as someone who talks about self-defense. I am not a former police officer. I am not a former military official. I am just a 20-year Japanese karate martial artist, and now a... So it's time for a little... Time for a little bow to your sensei.
Bow to your sensei. Bow to your sensei.
This is one of those moments where I talk to you about how to engage in lawful, proper self-defense. In this scenario, it is not the same. You cannot compare a police officer involved altercation to the type of altercation that is engaged in a civilian. Different rules apply. Police officers have different lawful authorities that average citizens do not have. I know that we're going to hear from the people who are going to be like citizens arrest laws, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. Well, check with your state laws and come back and tell me what it says. Okay. Some places it might be that way. Like, I don't know, Wyoming, maybe. You could be deputized. BLM claimed that Cindy Wilson was unjustly killed by racist cops. Here's the body cam footage. Judge for yourself. So this is not a Japanese karate situation. This is a gun fu situation. And we're going to look at a couple of the moments here when if you were a civilian, I will say, not a police officer, I can speak to like what might be lawful. Now, this is a police officer doing a wellness check. So again, not the type of thing that a civilian is going to do. You're not typically going to go knock on a neighbor's door. The reason why this wellness check is it's very loud music and it appears as if the person may be intoxicated. We won't know until the toxicology report comes back. However, this person came to the door ready to play. Now, see here, you can say, okay, the person's answering the door. Now, how are you? She says, and then looky here, ka-ching, she's pulled out the kitchen knife. Now, what exactly was your plan here, Sydney? Yeah. What exactly was the plan here? I mean, you said, how are you? And then the knife. And the funny thing is about that is that frequently criminals will do things like that where they will, and she, points for her, Sun Tzu, for a good strategy of just being aggressive as possible right out the gate. She sort of disarmed him with a, how are you? Right? She's like, how are you? And then, ka-cha! And then she goes in and then didn't even just want to kill him, apparently, just decides to go for a slice. Which, it's a police officer. They do have weapons, ma'am. And so she goes in for the slice. She doesn't even try for the poke. The poke is the killing. The slice is going to kill you later. But if you need to immobilize somebody. So she decides to play a dangerous game, and her life may be forfeit if you behave like this to a police officer carrying a firearm, the same one that Kamala has. What I love about this police officer here is that he operates under the law, or the pretense of the law. Looky here. So Sydney's very upset. He's given her a chance. He lets her, so she slashes him, in which case he could have stood his ground, I believe, and it would be smart to back away. But he could have fired and ended her as soon as she continued to advance on with the knife, but he gives her a chance.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Back up. Hey, man.
Oh yeah. See, she's clearly on something, and it doesn't sound like alcohol.
Please back up. Back up.
I like that he's saying it in his Asian accent, so because they're trying to turn this into unjustly killed by racist cops. Which is more racist, trying to stab the Asian cop or shooting the black woman? Right? It's the oppression Olympics. So I always forget who's above on any given day.
Man, I got nothing to do. Please back up.
Please back off. Hear that? Please, right? So this is obviously a man who his English is their second language.
Back up.
And see, look at that one. I mean, lady, please. As Kamala Harris gets elected, this is what she's going to do to America.
Please back up.
Please back off, right? So he's an Asian man. So how is it racist? The Asians are racist against the black people, I guess. I remember a quote about, it had to do with the poor relations between the Asian community and the black community. But I think it was a DC judge, if I'm forgetting his name, or excuse me, it was a DC mayor of DC, who was talking about them dirty Chinese. He was calling them the dirty Chinese. So there is racism between that community. And it seems to me as if it's blacks being racist against Asian people. As a matter of fact, do you remember the Stop Asian Hate campaign during COVID-19 when all those people were getting attacked on the streets, Asian people getting specifically attacked on the streets? And then for like 6 weeks, they were like, Stop Asian Hate, until they figured out who it was that was attacking all of the Asian people. Whoopsie. Officer Jackie Chan over here decides to give this woman, Sydney Wilson, a shot. But meaning a chance to live. But look, I mean, this is straight out of the Psycho Horror Hall of Fame. Look at that. She's got the knife up like this, like she's been watching horror movies. She's tripping on acid. She's been watching horror movies, and she's having a bad trip, or whatever it is, the bath salts. She decides to, this is some Michael Myers kind of stuff. This is a really great Halloween segment. As you can see here, the officer gives her another chance to stab him, and she does. He lets her stab him before he ends her life, and she begs him, please stop shooting. You can hear it as she is on her way out the door.
Back up. Back up.
And she continues to chase him. That just goes to show you cannot You cannot stop. You cannot stop shooting. He's running away, having to shoot over his shoulder. This is a very intense, very dangerous situation. May you never find yourself in a situation like this.
Hey, man. I can also do it. Please back up. Oh, yeah. Back
See,
up.
he had every right to stop her there. She made her intentions known, and now he has to be chased. Because let's count how many times he fires.
Oh, yeah. Hey, man. I can also do it. Please back up. Oh, yeah. Back up. Oh, back up. Back up. Back up.
5 shots, and she says, "Stop shooting," as he sits there and bleeds from 2 attack wounds, maybe even 3. Don't let that happen to you guys. Make sure that you follow the rules of Terry Silver.
Rule number 1. A man can't stand. He can't fight.
Can't stand, you can't fight. It's an absolutely disgusting event. And the kind of thing that, of course, the Black Lives Matter activists will use to raise millions for their next mansion. Thank you for watching the...
Bow to your sensei. Bow to your sensei!
Bow to your sensei, guys. You know you're the best around. Have we unlocked the bonus content yet this morning? Let's take a look and a listen, shall we? Live chat donations. We have raised $10 towards the $60 goal today. Thank you for that, Nelson65. And then I think somebody went to forlibertyshop.com. They did. They went to forlibertyshop.com and they got themselves a Culturama radioactive commie zombie mug. There you go, baby. So we're halfway there. $30 more raised. By the end of the show, you get to see today's bonus content, a mini documentary about the presidential we. The presidential we. And I think you guys will really appreciate that. So make sure you keep those Rumble Rant donations coming in before we go to our first guest. Camelia Peterson joins us live in a little bit less than 10 minutes. Aaron Critchell says, "You shoot until the threat is eliminated as we are taught, but you better be in fear for your life, Sensei." Absolutely, my man. I trained a lot
Wax
of...
on, wax off.
That you need to spend as much time out on the range as you do on the mat. But
Even if win, you lose.
if somebody brings a knife fight to a gunfight, even if win, you lose. Nobody wins when somebody brings a knife, but somebody's going to die and somebody's going to go to the hospital. Thanks so much for tuning in, and thanks for listening, Aaron Cretchell. You handsome bearded bastard. I love hanging out with my crew in the Wake Up America show early wee hours of the morning. It's so much fun to have a 5-day-a-week live news show like this and to be a part of growing 2 brand new shows in different types of formats. It's the culmination of my life's work. It's so much fun to coach the younger generation on how to produce a show. And it's funny because, my background in stage and in film and in television and in radio has put me in a position where I can accomplish all of these jobs that I've done professionally in the past for myself. And because technology has made it possible for me to set up streaming for myself, I said, well, if I can do my own talk show 5 days a week, could I be like those executive producers that I worked with in New York City at Fox News, where they host 5-6 shows, where they have 5 or 6 shows that they'll produce as executive producers? Could I do something like that? Why not? Are those guys smarter than me? It's just television. It's television producers, just podcast, live news podcast. Although last night, Daniela was struggling sometimes, but good. You have a rough rehearsal. You have a great opening night. And last night's rehearsal wasn't even rough. It's just some things just take a lot more time than you might even imagine. The thumbnail video that you see before the show, think about the time that I have, and I got to whip that up in like 30 minutes to an hour. It's early over here on the Wake Up America show. Now Danielle is doing that. And then, of course, the Liberty Tonight boys. They're all just scurrying like mice this week, boys and girls. No sleep. Because the Wake Up America show is coming to a podcast near you. Andy Opperman decided to unlock the bonus content for you. Thanks, Andy. Pretty little angel eyes, shh, pretty little angel eyes, shh, pretty little angel, pretty little angel, pretty little angel, angel eyes. Andy Opperman, he went to the For Liberty shop and he bought some coffee. Pretty little angel eyes. Can you bless me with something?
Can you bless me with something?
Oh, God.
Money wise. Please.
Can you suck it?
Can you suck it?
What?
The Make America Great Again hat that Elon Musk made famous is going out of the shop. It is mere hours away. Your last chance to get the Make America Great Again dark MAGA hat. Don't you give me any guff. Get your butt over to forlibertyshop.com and get your Elon Musk dark MAGA hat. The Elon Musk dark MAGA hat is a talisman to a greater world, a greater America. You, me, Elon, Vivek Ramaswamy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Donald Trump fight for liberty this year. Dark MAGA. Get to forlibertyshop.com. Get yourself a dark MAGA hat. I'm going to go get Camelia Peterson and play around with her. We're going to have a lot of fun. Our little Heidi from Oktoberfest last weekend. We'll talk to her about that when we get back on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. That was a terrible tease. Terrible tease.
By high prices and big government? Don't be a ghost of your former self this Halloween. We've got shirts that'll keep the ghouls and the government off your back. Inflation's scarier than any haunted house, but hey, why not turn it into a costume? Or how about our spooky government shirt? Guaranteed to spook anyone who's afraid of too much power. But if you're feeling real edgy, nothing says Halloween like our Michael Myers No Lives Matter shirt. Cause when it comes to big government, we all get slashed. At forlibertyshop.com, we believe in freedom, not fear. So grab your libertarian Halloween gear before the government takes an extra bite out of your wallet. Or your candy. forlibertyshop.com. Let's make Halloween tax-free.
Wanting
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet
anytime you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist. Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins.
Good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson, and you're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the brand new For Liberty Network. Today's Culturama Tuesday. Culturama. Radioactive communist zombies from outer space have invaded. Fight back. Culturama. Taking Back Tomorrow Today. Hosted by the lovely Daniela Pensack of Thirsty Thursday fame. Tune in tonight, 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time for a retro, radioactive 1950s swinging, sock-hopping good time at rumble.com/Culturama. Yes, I do write my own intros, my own teases, and I make them up on the spot. God damn, I'm good. And I have all the right friends. Camelia Peterson joining us live here every Tuesday and Thursday on the Wake Up America show of Thirsty Thursday fame herself. CJ keeps blowing out her hair this morning just like, oh, it's so voluminous. Is it voluminous or is it voluminous? Or voluminous?
Oh, I believe it's voluminous.
Voluminous. Voluminous? Volume? The volume is the root.
You know, the key is like you have to hair dry your hair upside down.
Upside down.
Upside down.
Okay.
I know you have that problem, so.
Yeah, sure. Worldwide efforts to reverse the baby shortage are falling flat. Subsidized minivans, I'll take one. No income taxes, I'll take that. Countries have rolled out a range of benefits to encourage bigger families with no luck. We've got a video clip here. Let me play it for you very briefly as we go away from that and go towards this and listen to this.
The Roman Empire, one of the reasons, if not the reason, that it ceased to exist is population decline.
Well, they introduced taxes. Speeches are recorded where they decide if you only had one child, I think you paid maybe a 25% tax premium. If you had no children, it was a 50% tax premium.
Wow.
And you also lost your retirement rights. That was the Romans trying to reverse birth rates, and it clearly it didn't work. None of these things, pure economic policies themselves, do not work.
The Roman Empire.
Economic policies do not work. Camellia.
I've said it before and I'll say it again, like incentivizing childbirth and growing families does not work. It hasn't worked historically, but in the US, this is obviously the declining birth rate has been a topic of discussion and concern for several years now. And so this is something that people, especially on the right, politicians have been trying to address in various ways. And it's a big talking point. I mean, J.D. Vance talks about it a lot, right? And they still seem convinced, despite all the evidence to the contrary, that they can economically incentivize people to have more children. It's just not true.
I mean, I'm motivated. I want to have more children. And now that they're like going to give me free minivans and get rid of my income taxes, I mean, Camellia, would you adopt another child?
No, based on that, no.
Even if the government paid you?
No.
Really?
It's like that's not the incentive. I mean, people are going to have the children that they want to have anyway. And that's one of the things, when the Wall Street Journal covers this, the data that's coming out of places like South Korea and Singapore and Hungary and Norway, who have had these really lavish policies to try to incentivize people to have more children. They are like, Hungary, I think, had like an increase that everybody was lauding, like for a while. They had an increase in childbirth rate for like 2 years, and now guess what? It's dropping again. It's just not. It's not lasting. And one of the things that people from those countries commented in there is that it is just, I mean, people are going to have kids because they want to, regardless of what, and it's just a nice perk if the government does something, right? But
Camellia, I love you. Camellia, I love you, but you're full of shit. And here's why.
No way. The evidence says otherwise.
No. Because listen, I've got my stereotypes, racial, veiled racial stereotypes here. The veiled racial stereotype, and I'm going to compare it to you. I'll wager this up against your evidence any day. But is that welfare queens get welfare money to have more kids, and so poor people in the United States get on welfare, and the more kids they have, the more money they get. And therefore, government policy can induce the creation of more children via these welfare benefits, because are we not Republicans? And do we not believe, of course, every stereotype that comes out of anyone with an R after their name and swears allegiance to our Lord and Savior, Donald Trump? I mean, is it not the fact? Is it not the case that people do get on welfare and have babies for the sole purpose of collecting a government check?
Well, chicken or the egg, right? Do they get on welfare and then have babies, or do they have babies and then get on welfare because that's the cultural lifestyle that they...
Yeah, they love to knock boots and not use protection. But isn't that kind of what the government wants the rest of us to do, except don't get on the dole? I mean, to some extent, or maybe they do want us all on the dole, right?
I mean, that's the thing, is like, if you listen to a lot of politicians on the right currently, they would like to give you more money, whether it's through tax credits or outright incentives. Like, I mean, and it's not just the right anymore. Both Trump and Kamala Harris are talking about incentivizing people to have children. I think Kamala has even talked about giving, everybody $6,000 per baby, whatever. So the thing is like, it's not a far leap from, tax credit incentives to just outright giving people money to do that. But there's plenty of evidence from other countries where they do that and it doesn't work. And the thing is in countries like Hungary, they're not just trying to incentivize people just to have babies in general. They're also trying to incentivize people having babies in a stable home environment. So they reward like a traditional family structure. They reward people they've tried anyway, for having children sooner. So like you get more if you're a woman who is under 30 and has children. But I mean, the bottom line is no matter what, they've offered, whether it's free minivans or whether you can get $150,000 in subsidized loans, if you have 3 kids, or if you have 4 kids. By the way, this is something I need to look up. It did note that if you had 4 children, that you would have lifetime exemption from income tax, but it said mothers. So my question was, does that apply to fathers too? Right? So, because this is also another really important point, is that in countries like Norway and Hungary, it is not that they are just trying to incentivize women to have children. They are trying to incentivize making it easier for them to have children and stay in the workplace. They don't want them staying at home necessarily. They want them back in the workplace. So they're trying to incentivize them with all kinds of maternity leave and paternity leave and extra vacation days, plus, childcare, in the workplace and all those kinds of things. But the women are now saying that one of their reasons for not having more children is, in spite of all of this stuff, it's not enough, they say. And plus, they said they still have a lot of difficulty balancing that work life. Just like it's hard to have kids and work full time. I mean, lots of women can tell you that, and it's not necessarily great for the kids either. But it just is. For all of the things that they've tried to do, it's not working, because people are going to have children if they have the desire, and it is a priority.
I desire children, but if you give, we want one more kid at least, but if you're going to get rid of our income taxes, I will have 4 children. So this whole idea of it doesn't work, I mean, it's working on me. I mean, take.
Okay, but are you an anomaly, or are you everybody? You know what I'm saying?
We're talking about the law of averages here. Yeah. So, okay. So what do we need to do? We all need to be like Elon Musk, and, maybe men need to have, maybe men need to follow their biological imperative and have lots of babies with lots of women. Maybe that's the solution to this one. If men were to follow our healthy, natural, testosterone-laced instincts, we just have as many babies as possible with as many baby mamas, so that we are reproductively successful, like the good old days, right? And how do you think how do you think we got here? How do you think we got here today? You don't think the male sex drive had anything to do with it?
Quite like that.
Oh, no. You guys don't give enough credit. You don't give enough credit to the male sex drive for the.
Oh, I know. Like I get that. But I'm just saying, I don't think that, just impregnating all the women left and right is.
Why not?
I don't think that's necessarily how we got here.
That's how it's been. Yes, it is how we got here.
Okay, it's been funny to see several people on the right kind of sort of lauding the Elon and praising the Elon Musk way of repopulating the earth. But, let's look at, the women that Elon has been having children with. Do you think they're going to grow up to be good conservatives? I'm just saying, like, the problem is that when you spread your seed around liberally and with several different women, like, you're probably not going to have a whole lot of control over the education of those children. And unless
we will, if we don't have to pay income taxes.
Okay. Nice try,
I can afford a couple more kids, I'll tell you. Rollo Tomasi. You like Rollo Tomasi, don't you, Camellia?
I like him sometimes.
Oh, sometimes. Why? Because I'm about to cite him and you're going to be like, Rollo Tomasi. I don't remember the exact statistic, but I do remember the gist of it. And I think I've cited it before. Maybe you've heard me mention it. It's quite provocative, Camellia, and it has something to do with what we understand of genetic evidence based on who mated with who. Most men are not reproductively successful. If most men don't have kids, the majority of men don't get that opportunity, then you have to ask, where are all these people coming from? And before kind of monogamy and marriage and civilization sort of came in to the picture, it was something like around, and don't quote me on this one, but Rollo Tomasi is where I pulled this. It was something around 70-1. That in order for humankind to flourish, it was about one man to about 70 women is about how many women they would impregnate. And of course, Genghis Khan became famous for doing many, many, many more. And his impact is still felt today genetically. Today, in the modern world with civilization and with monogamy, it's about one male to every 7 females. So whether women know it or consciously or not, women have always and probably will always be selective. So selective, in fact, that 7 women would rather share one man than be monogamous with one man, because who wants to be with a beta simp? Not you, Camellia Peterson. Not you. Not most of the women who listen to this show, who are strong, tough females who would never settle for anything that they think that they're not worth. And therefore, one man to every 7 women. So whether you may like it or not agree with me, little Camellia Peterson, the DNA evidence might be on my side on this one. Check my facts, Rolo Tomasi, on that one. Red pilled.
So I think that this brings up the important, cultural aspect of it when you talk about the direction our country has taken. And there's a lot of talk about, when you talk about single parenthood, right? Single mothers, how much does that contribute to where we are, culturally, and now in terms of how, we think the government needs to take care of us and all of these kinds of things. So I don't know how you balance that with also having a stable family structure. And I'm also not I think that families can work outside of the traditional nuclear family model, but I think you have to work a lot harder, right? In order to create that stable environment for a family. I just, oh gosh, I'm going to forget. I just picked up a book the other day because I thought it was fascinating, because I do think that for so long we've undervalued the role of fathers in their children's lives. And it's called Father Time, and it's a look at the role of men in nurturing children historically and the importance of that. And, I know some dads who do a really good job of that, and they are very intentional in the time that they spend with their children. And we need more of that. And it's not been... I think that we have had the idea of the nuclear family has been a good thing in some ways. But at the same time, over the last, few decades, we've so minimized the importance of dads in their children's lives that we are really seeing the outcome of that. So I think
do you ever feel like we're like panda bears in like the like a zoo, like, and planet Earth is like our prison, and that we're not screwing to save our species to some extent, right? Because how you could solve this problem without any economic incentives is that women have to find more men attractive. Would you rather die, Camilla? You'd rather die than be with a mediocre man, wouldn't you?
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean,
life
is trade-offs, right?
Okay, so not to die, you would go, and not to have would you screw to save your species, Camellia?
Okay, I don't think it's solely dependent on me, and
I have
somewhat done my part.
You have, Camellia, and thank you for that, for populating the earth. 2 lovely daughters. Lovely daughters. But that kind of is a question. It's a sort of a very offensive way to ask a question, right? That I'm doing in such a way, but it's to make a point, essentially, that if the data is correct, then this means that if we do want to increase the population, if you're right, and we can't do it by stimulating the economy of parenthood to an extent. Left and right are trying to do that. You might be right. I might be willing to buy into it, but I see no other solution than if we want to have more babies, then for more people to have more sex with more people and then produce more babies. But there would have to be a lot socially that would change, Camellia. And it has changed. It used to be 70 women to 1 man in theory, and now 7 to 1. Maybe it needs to just be 3 to 1. Maybe women need to share a little bit less, right? Maybe be a little bit more monogamous. If women were more monogamous, this wouldn't happen.
Okay. So the question is what do you do? What do you do with all of those children when you have them if they don't have a stable father figure in their life? Because, you can only go so far with that. And I also think
conservatives
that
don't care. Conservatives like Dennis Prager and Ben Shapiro and Michael Knowles, they don't really care. They just say have kids at a young age. It doesn't matter. Tucker Carlson says this. You don't need to know what you're going to do with their life. It could fall apart. No, but you will be a man. You'll step up. You'll be a father. Yeah, some of us will, but a lot of us won't. A lot of us will dump our kids off at the orphanage and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, what you're saying is true. But even though conservatives are saying they're pro-natalist, they're also telling people to go do irresponsible things, right? Go marry somebody you have no idea who the hell they are, maybe get a divorce and destroy your life.
Right. I think that, yeah, it is backwards because you can't, just like not everybody should run for office, like not everybody should just run out and have a baby, right? And I'm not saying that you have to be at a certain point and perfect in your personal growth and all of that. Absolutely not. As far as like criteria for having a child having a child will grow you, like it or not. Mm-hmm. But I do think, when you think about the statistics and the things that you mentioned and what contributes to the decline of the birth rate, there are so many complex contributing factors that it's really hard to see that there is a solution. I don't think there is a solution because I think a lot of this is also an outcome of an advanced society where we're more mobile, where we don't, we're not stuck in an agricultural setting where you can't go just anywhere. And now you've got more options, and there are downsides to that too, right? And this is one of those downsides. So I think this is more a way of how are we going to adapt to this? And it's probably going to be rough. Like, I don't think that there's going to be anything in particular that is going to incentivize people to have more children at this point.
Well, you can't because the left wants to kill every baby they see. And the right only wants you to allow you to have a baby in these circumstances and under these conditions, and no IVF and, no, none of this, can't adopt, no surrogate parenting, all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, so the lens, the opportunity to have a baby just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller as we get through everybody's norms, everybody's religious objections, everybody's, murderous desire to slay the next generation mercilessly by stabbing in the back of the head with a pair of scissors. Disgusting. So how do we deal with that? We got, jokers to the left, clowns to the right. Here I am stuck in the middle with Camellia Peterson on the Wake Up America show.
So I think that, part of our problem is an economic problem. In that we have in our economic policy in the country, we no longer have an even playing field. Right. We have villainized, making money and being entrepreneurial to the point that maybe you can be a millionaire. Like we've gone to the other side of it's not that there's equal opportunity for everyone, but now we must have equal outcomes. And the truth is that the right is not nearly as complicit in this as the left, but they are getting there in that it's we only like millionaires and billionaires now if they're doing what we want them to do with their money, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
If they're not like that's. So we have these policies that are attempting to compensate for all of these different things, and you end up with not a level playing field across the board. And we're penalizing businesses, we're penalizing people who are making a lot of money. And the people who are making a lot of money are also people who are clearly doing something right with their life to be successful, and are people who are probably going to have children as well. So I think that, that would be a good step in the right direction, but nothing is going to reverse this very quickly. And I think it's an overall cultural change. As he said, like the Romans, it was interesting that when he talked about the Romans trying to do this, that they did it in a punitive approach.
Yeah. Have kids or else.
Right. Yeah. If you didn't, like, here's what you're going to have to do. That didn't work. I think, people now have been trying like the positive incentive approach. And I don't know that that does not seem to be working either.
Doesn't seem to be working either. Camellia Peterson, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you are our regular guest, whether you're in Wisconsin or whether you're in Missouri or Southwest Missouri or St. Louis or wherever you may be. Sometimes you're on set with us. You are on the Wake Up America show. Thank you for your friendship. And anything else people should know before we let you go?
Nope, just 3 more weeks to the election and we're going to make it.
Right. Yeah, we'll see you at the Culturama premiere tonight. Don't forget to wear your gown.
I can't wait. Yes,
it's the red carpet.
Wait.
Yes, tonight's the red carpet premiere, so wear something really glitzy, okay?
Awesome. Okay.
Thanks very much. See you, CJ.
Have a great day, everyone.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners, every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Dang, that is a powerful.
Sex changes for prisoners.
I don't know if I could actually.
For prisoners.
For prisoners,
Why isn't it
every
playing? What's going on
transgender.
here? Okay, there it is. Okay, good. Now, bonus content time. You've unlocked it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your support. The For Liberty Network. Don't forget Culturama tonight. Coming up next, Adam Coleman will react to that and to Barack Obama's words about black men voting for Kamala Harris. We'll be right back with Adam Coleman on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network.
America Show's bonus content. Thank you for unlocking our News Mini documentaries. Today we look at the presidential we. In American history, the use of first-person pronouns by leaders has often evoked strong reactions. Among these, first-person plural pronouns hold significant sway, especially when employed by heads of state. This tendency dates back to monarchs who used the royal we to imply divine authority. The United States, despite its foundation on democratic ideals, reflects this linguistic style. The phrase, "we the people," from the preamble of the Constitution, exemplifies the use of collective pronouns to convey unity and shared purpose, a concept deeply rooted in American identity. Throughout history, U.S. presidents have frequently adopted the presidential we. This practice helps leaders craft inclusive narratives, aiming to broaden their appeal and unite citizens under common goals. Presidents like Franklin D. Roosevelt and Barack Obama are known for their iconic uses of such pronouns. Abraham Lincoln was one of the earliest to utilize the presidential we effectively. His speeches often used plural pronouns, which played a crucial role in his political success and leadership during the Civil War. This rhetorical style became a staple for American presidents thereafter. In modern times, the presidential we has gained prominence. President Joe Biden's inaugural address heavily featured first-person plural pronouns, highlighting their continued relevance and power in political discourse. This contrasts with earlier presidents like George Washington, whose use was minimal. Research indicates a notable trend. The overuse of first-person pronouns often correlates with power and potential deceit. High-status individuals, including politicians, tend to favor first-person plurals, projecting an image of cooperation and collectiveness. Psychologist James W. Pennebaker argues that excessive use of first-person plurals can suggest deception. Through language analysis, patterns emerge showing how individuals, particularly those in power, may use pronouns to mask their intentions or mislead. Pennebaker's work includes the development of software to analyze language patterns, revealing how speech can reflect truthfulness. His findings suggest that individuals who frequently use we might be hiding their true intentions behind a facade of collective rhetoric. This insight was applied to the language of the George W. Bush administration, revealing how deceptive pronoun use obscured the truth about the Iraq invasion. This linguistic pattern indicated a deliberate attempt to shield controversial decisions from public scrutiny. To counter this misuse, citizens and editors alike must develop skills to challenge unclear language. By asking probing questions about the intent behind such pronouns, individuals can uncover the true motives of political leaders and hold them accountable. Understanding the context and intention behind pronouns can unveil whether they aim to include the audience or deflect responsibility. This scrutiny helps demystify political speech and encourages transparent communication from those in power. American voters face the task of discerning the true intentions behind political rhetoric. As leaders continue to use the presidential we, citizens must remain vigilant, questioning who truly benefits from political decisions and policies. Ultimately, the responsibility lies with the public to demand clarity and honesty from their leaders. By critically examining political language, Americans can ensure their voices are genuinely included in the collective we that shapes national policy. As the nation heads into crucial elections, the use of collective pronouns by candidates like Donald Trump and Kamala Harris suggests the enduring influence of the presidential we. This tradition may either unify or mislead, depending on the intent behind its use. The future of American politics will likely continue to grapple with the power of pronouns. As citizens, understanding this dynamic can empower informed decision-making and promote a more transparent and accountable government. In conclusion, while the presidential we has historical significance, its modern application requires careful scrutiny. By questioning ambiguous pronoun use, Americans can work towards a political environment that truly reflects we the people.
We have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers.
Oh boy. All right, the brothers. This is kind of dangerous conversation. Maybe I need to get in some experts on this one. It's Adam Coleman. He's a writer for the New York Post, amongst many other things. He's now a weight loss specialist and as well as the publisher of Wrong Publication, joining us live here on the show. Good morning, Adam. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Adam, shame on you. You're not supporting Kamala Harris? You're a black man. How dare you not vote for Kamala Harris? The brothers are not showing up. You're one of the brothers, Adam. I take it you're not voting for Kamala Harris. What's wrong with you?
Well, to correct you, I am not one of the brothers because Joe Biden said if I don't vote for him, then I'm not black. So technically, this doesn't apply to me.
Adam, I'm grateful to have your point of view here on the air. How did you feel about Obama coming down on the brothers?
I felt that this was one, a little bit of the quiet part finally being said out loud and very direct and bluntly so. I know, and everybody can kind of feel that there is this lean towards women within the Democratic Party, but there is this romanticization over Black women as being the leaders of the Democrat, like the most loyal. They like to throw that title, the most loyal part of the Democratic Party. And there is an entitlement surrounding being Black in politics, especially in relation to the Democratic Party. So they feel entitled to Black Americans voting for them just cause. And so much so that they're allowed to just say the quiet part out loud. And no one is supposed to, the key thing is supposed to react to it in a negative way. What has been fascinating about this is that I see this as a changing of the tide, so to speak, because I think even just a few years ago, he would have gotten away with it. But I think things are changing and he isn't getting away with it. And even Democrats are questioning, was this a good move? And so when you see Democrats, even some progressives saying, it sounds like he's telling Black people just to get on board and just do what we say. And yes, that's what it sounds like. And it sounds like he's chastising them. And even more so when he says, don't make me, you guys are lucky that Michelle's not here. Like, and so what? So what?
What's she gonna do, man? She's gonna snap me over, or take me over her leg and snap me in half. I've got another clip for you here, Adam. I'd like you to respond to this. This is senior data reporter from CNN talking about Trump's likely performance if trends continue with Black voters. Take a listen to this.
I mean, the bottom line is this. At this particular hour, if you believe the polling, Donald Trump's going to put up the best performance with Black voters since Richard Nixon back in 1960. Not 68, since 1960. That's 64 years ago. Among Hispanic voters, Donald Trump's going to put up the best performance for Republicans since 2004 and George W. Bush.
Adam?
Yes. We've had 4 years of a Trump presidency. So we have one term of a Trump presidency and basically 3 terms of Democratic presidencies where just didn't seem to go the way that they promised. And so here you have someone who is going to reap the rewards of democratic failures. Donald Trump is. And I think what's happening is a lot of people are seeing rapid inflation. They're seeing not the, what we used to be called the scaremongering by Republicans about the southern border, the real ramifications of taking this stuff lightly. They're now seeing it. It's here. As much as I don't like what is happening at the southern border, I am actually glad that there were governors and people who were basically shipping these people to other states to experience what they've been experiencing. El Paso has been experiencing this for a long time. Well, guess what? New York City, Chicago, LA, Denver, you're going to get to experience it too. You're going to get to have your budgets depleted. And they're going to start from those cities and kind of spread all over. And even you see it in the Midwest in Ohio. So it's now everyone's problem. So now everyone will care. And now we'll finally get some sort of resolution to it. So now we finally have Kamala talking about the border as if she wants to fix it. Whereas, I don't know, just a few years ago, they were saying there is no problem at the border. So, or if it's not as big of a problem as you're claiming it to be. They're just fear-mongering, xenophobia. Now they're saying the thing that Trump has been saying. Now they sound like they want to make America great again. So I think what is happening is people are feeling the policies of a federal government that is run by Democrats and what they actually care about. They're watching their money leave this country and go to foreign wars. They're watching a president from a foreign nation come into Congress and say, I need your money. And then, and it still boggles my mind. He comes out and we have congressmen saying on camera, we got to give him the money. We got to give Ukraine the money. And meanwhile, we have people who are struggling over here and we say, well, maybe. We have people in Chicago who are looking at illegal migrants who aren't supposed to be there, get all the support they could possibly have. Meanwhile, they've been asking for support for years, decades. Can't get enough police officers, but they can afford to put these people in housing, nice housing, and feed them. So we have a lot of Americans who are feeling very butthurt, and rightfully so, that the Democratic Party, Kamala Harris, and basically the federal government has taken a backseat for years and watched everything slowly drip and drab fall apart. And they're confused as to why people are noticing this, especially Black Americans, as if we don't care about our economics, as if we don't care about what's happening at the southern border. So I think what's happening is they're losing ground in all demographics because it's an American problem. It was never just a Black specific problem, a Hispanic specific problem. It's now everyone's problem. And if we don't have a solid border, we cannot guarantee our economics. If we don't have a solid border, we can't guarantee our safety as a nation. And if we don't have a solid border, then we have to question what it means to be an American.
Adam Coleman, everybody, that's who's joining me live right now. Writer for the New York Post and many other fine magazines. Adam Coleman wrote a piece over at New York Post about the patronizing attitude that the Democrats have taken towards Black voters. Speaking of, I've got this clip, Adam, from Charlemagne the God. I hope that you can listen and respond to this as well. This is a new Donald Trump campaign ad. Take a listen.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners, every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
How do you feel about that one? How do you feel about that ad, Adam?
I love ads where they use the person's words against them. Because a lot of people, they work 9 to 5. They don't get to see the stuff like how you and I see it. But it's one thing if Donald Trump says it and they're like, oh, he's lying. But when you take a clip of what the person is actually saying, and then what makes it even better is that you have, the Breakfast Club repeating like, yo, we're hearing this too. This is what she supports. And Donald Trump is not even on the ad to say this. I think that's what makes it a really good campaign ad. But it's true, and I think stuff like this shows where their priority is. Their priority is on some weird niche issue that is happening. Let's say it's a real problem. Let's say we're all in agreement that transgender people in prison should have access to sex changes. Well, that's still not the priority as to things going on. And actually, the president and the federal government at all shouldn't be really talking about this. It sounds like more like a state issue, or a state advocacy or something of that nature. Why is the president talking about this? Why do they even care about this particular thing? And it just shows that this is their importance. This is what they find to be important. And what people prioritize is what they talk about. And when they're constantly highlighting these things, and you're asking yourself, why are they putting so much energy behind it? It's because that's what matters to them most often. And I think talking about the LGBT stuff is really, it's lazy politics, because you can just say you support these things and you don't actually have to do anything, right? Because when we start asking them, how would you actually get this done? They don't have a real solution, but they say, I guess I support these things. Just like when Kamala released her point plan for helping Black men specifically, it's words like support, encourage, it's all it's all words of showing some sort of support for a possible thing that may potentially happen. It is not a plan. Only in politics will we say it's a plan and it doesn't tell you how it'll be done.
Adam, I like to hang out over on Black Twitter sometimes, and just listen to what the Black community is saying and how they're reacting to debates and things. And I frequently see this terminology tossed around. They say Black girl magic, and some people say that Kamala really doesn't have the Black girl magic. Is there a cultural divide where there's this feeling that Kamala is really not, she's not of the experience of the African American experience that so many American Blacks have gone through, because she grew up in Canada and her family moved here in the 1960s, and she's mostly played up her Indian heritage to this point? Is there just sort of like is there kind of like a cultural insecurity with Kamala's past? Because she seems to be really touting these, her Black connections, whereas before it was really much more about her Indian connections. Is that where some of the disconnect may be with the Black male voters?
Yeah, I think that could partially be it, and not just with the Black men and Black women. See, that's the other thing. They're not talking about her losing support in comparison to Joe Biden in the previous election in polling with Black women. So just Black people in general she's losing support in comparison to previously. But yes, there are a lot of people who are saying she's a chameleon. There are a lot of people who are recognizing, hold on a second, for decades, she always called herself Indian. And then suddenly it seemed to be very beneficial for her to refer to herself as being Black. And they're like, oh, she went to an HBCU. I was like, you do realize there are white people who go to HBCUs.
Yeah, I know a few. I know a few, actually.
Like, it doesn't mean you're suddenly Black. Like, imagine if I went to Ohio State and then suddenly I can call myself white. Like,
you're a white guy.
It's so absurd.
We'll make an honorary white guy for a day, Adam. It's like that sketch of Eddie Murphy where he wears white makeup and he goes around town and they're like just giving him free stuff. And then when the Black people leave the bus, they start dancing. That's how it is, Adam. You'll love it. It's fun. White for a day.
Exactly. So
it's amazing though. The left does kind of like have this sort of like despite the fact that the left wants to cancel me if I wear a Native American outfit for Halloween, the left loves to wear culture as a costume, right? Look at a Native American have heap wampum Senator Elizabeth Warren, right? She loved to wear identity as a costume. And the left's, it's fascinating that they point the fingers at us for cultural appropriation. If I go out and happen to enjoy a Japanese restaurant, or you, a black man, like to wear a kimono and, you know, parade around with a Japanese sword or something like that, cultural appropriation. But they're the ones.
Yeah. Or they or they grab people to act as mascots for them.
Yes.
And I see a lot more of that than the costumes. But yeah, there's going to be hypocrisy in politics, and I accept that, and that's a bipartisan thing. But there's a level of identity hypocrisy that is at hand. And Kamala Harris, for her to go decades, and even when she became a senator, becoming the first female Indian senator, and all of a sudden she's black, and she gets to put on her sister girl act when she goes to Atlanta and, you know, and speak in Ebonics and say, you know, they ain't about that life, you know, and do all this BS.
Her accents. Have you noticed her pulling out like the Aunt Jemima accent and stuff lately?
Yeah, she does.
It's very patronizing.
But here's the thing. It works for some people.
Yeah, it does.
It
didn't work for Hillary Clinton. Remember, she had the hot sauce in her purse, right? She couldn't fake it. At least Kamala can fake it. And Obama, he's half white, but, you know, he can fake it. You know, I was born a dirty white boy on a farm in Peculiar, Missouri. There were very few black people in my town, Adam Coleman. And so it's very difficult for me to sort of contextually, you know, put some of these things in context because of the relative position that we were in culturally from birth up until where we are today. Now, I did live in Harlem for a period in New York City. And I was in New York and DC in 11 years. And I wasn't always living in high-rise apartment buildings with my fellow bougie, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. I'll tell you that. I lived, you know, some pretty rough conditions in my early days of New York City. But the solidarity of the black community to some extent is like nothing else. It's like it boggles the mind, the amount of solidarity that black people have in their identity and how dearly they hold it. It boggles our mind. I remember being a kid in the 80s and 90s, and this is kind of when black people started naming themselves names that were very difficult for white people like us to pronounce. And it felt like from my childhood until today that there was this sort of like spears point that the black community had largely linked arms, you know, with a few exceptions, and had spears pointed out towards the white community. And in the 1990s, it felt like when political correctness took over, and we, you know, that there was this sort of I don't know. It became it's almost as if the black community has largely isolated itself. So it's hard to kind of peek in or to really get a finger on the pulse of what's going on. If you could speak to me big picture, you know, because I can't really contextually understand why blacks are supporting Donald Trump more fully and entirely. If you could sort of contextualize big picture, what's happening in this country right now with black culture, speaking from a political angle, but maybe from a personal angle as well. It's up to you. I'll give you the final word.
Yeah, I think Donald Trump is different than any other Republican candidate of my lifetime. Whereas Republican candidates before, keep in mind that the mainstream media is what most people consume. And so if the mainstream media is the main source of information, and we know that it leans left, and so getting to know a Republican candidate is going to be a massive hurdle because the outlet to be known is through this filter. And then on top of that, most Black Americans live in or around major cities throughout this country. 60% of Black Americans live in 10 states. So their familiarity just locally is going to be with one particular party. And then on top of that, that party has given up decades ago trying to win in these particular cities. So their familiarity is with one particular party, and their familiarity with Republicans, even from a platform standpoint, what they stand for and things like that, is always going to be filtered through a left-wing filter and the worst of a Republican candidate, which there are. There are terrible Republicans that have existed in the party, and same with the left and the Democratic Party. But they have no familiarity with the Republicans to differentiate the good and the bad. They're always bad. Donald Trump is different because Donald Trump has been a media character for decades, from all of my life, he has been in the media. We know who he is. And so for the people who are familiar with him, they're willing to give him some sort of chance, or he might break through. Even when they show him, they're like, can you believe this ridiculous rally? He might say something funny. And that's just enough for them to be like, you know what? That was kind of funny. You know, and then you hear them out. And
it's true,
because I've talked to people where it's a nugget where he said something and you're like, that's kind of a good point. And then years later, you come back and then you look at the people you've been supporting and they haven't done nothing for you. And then you're like, wait a minute, they're doing exactly what he said they were going to do. Hold on, let me hear him out. Or the biggest thing is our money. We're looking at our money losing value rapidly over the past 2 years. We're looking at people can't afford to buy a house. Why? Because we've let foreign interests buy up all these properties. We've let all these corporations buy up all these properties. So even the pathway towards upper middle class or to have a home to raise your family is becoming harder and harder. And people are going to associate that with someone, and it hasn't been Trump. So Trump hasn't been in office. The Democrats have been in control. Democrats have been in the presidency. They've been advocating for all this stuff. They've been fully behind giving money to these foreign conflicts. So yeah, at some point, people are going to look at the alternative.
Absolutely. Adam Coleman, thank you very much for being so generous with your time, Adam. I'm always love your pieces over on the New York Post, but is there anything that you'd like to share with our audience that we might have missed or perhaps plug before we let you go today?
Yeah, just check out my Substack, adambcoleman.substack.com.
There we go, Adam B. Coleman at substack.com. Thank you, Adam, and we look forward to your next piece and the next time you come back on the show.
Anytime. Thank you.
One more round of applause for Adam Coleman. It's a beautiful day. It's Culturama Day, Tuesday, tonight, 7 p.m. Central Time. Do not miss Daniela Pensack, the lovely Daniela Pensack, bringing you all of the entertainment you can use, all the news you can use. Culturama. This Halloween season, tune in to her new show streaming on all major platforms, including rumble.com/Culturama. X, of course, my X account at AP for Liberty, YouTube, my AP for Liberty YouTube, and Stream Liberty on Twitch. A classic Americana vibe to refresh the tired soul, so often cultivated in our modern society. Culturama will reclaim the zeitgeist with a focus on bleeding-edge commentary and putting down the ghost of Marxism and the Reds once and for all. Head on over, guys. Make sure that you are following that Rumble account, rumble.com/Culturama. You get to see this lovely gal tonight plying her trade over at rumble.com/Culturama. The retro radioactive 1950s podcast live show, 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time tonight and Thursday night. And then Thursday night, a special treat, 9 to 11 p.m. Central Time. And then you got to get up early. You got to be ready. You know, as soon as Liberty Tonight is over on Thursday night, 9 to 11 p.m. Central Time, then you got to get right in bed so you can watch me and Steffi on Freedom Family Friday the next morning. You realize how tired this week is going to be? Oh my God. When the show's over on Friday, I'm going to be like, oh. Hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Bruce Burtwhistle, Mongoose 87A, Hollow 319, Joni Rankin, Mighty Megatron, very mighty. Barney Styles, I love seeing you over on X, Barney. Appreciate all of your comments. Thanks for all of your support. We'll see you guys here tomorrow. Exit through the Grift Shop at 4libertyshop.com. That's the number 4 libertyshop.com. The merchandise shop is so hot. Want to touch the Heine, the new Culturama Taking Back Tomorrow Today canvas bag is now in shop. All of our new shows and my show available now at 4libertyshop.com. The Wake Up America show merch shop. I got to get something's wrong. I have more products than that, but the Culturama collection, the Liberty Tonight collection, go check them out. The boys have got themselves a nice new badass beer stein. Freedom Never Sleeps over at libertytonight.com. That's rumble.com/libertytonight. Freedom Never Sleeps beer stein mug. Get yours over at 4libertyshop.com. The Culturama collection, the Liberty Tonight collection, the Wake Up America show collection. We be blowing up all over the place. Somebody bought a hoodie yesterday, man. A nice Adidas hoodie. Look at the beautiful hoodie in these gorgeous colors that it comes in. You don't want to miss the chance. That's actually, it's name brand. It's Adidas, super high quality. That includes shipping, guys. That's honestly not bad at all. You just have to choose what color you like. Black, collegiate navy, collegiate royal. That is a beautiful, look at that with Daniela's. The bombshell beechwood candle at forlibertyshop.com smells amazing. Exit to the gift shop. We'll see you tonight on Culturama, guys, on the show on the For Liberty Network at forlibertynetwork.com. See you later.
America Show's bonus content. Thank you for unlocking our News Mini documentaries. Today we look at the presidential we. In American history, the use of first-person pronouns by leaders has often evoked strong reactions. Among these, first-person plural pronouns hold significant sway, especially when employed by heads of state. This tendency dates back to monarchs who used the royal we to imply divine authority. The United States, despite its foundation on democratic ideals, reflects this linguistic style. The phrase, "we the people," from the preamble of the Constitution, exemplifies the use of collective pronouns to convey unity and shared purpose, a concept deeply rooted in American identity. Throughout history, U.S. presidents have frequently adopted the presidential we. This practice helps leaders craft inclusive narratives, aiming to broaden their appeal and unite citizens under common goals. Presidents like Franklin D. Roosevelt and Barack Obama are known for their iconic uses of such pronouns. Abraham Lincoln was one of the earliest to utilize the presidential we effectively. His speeches often used plural pronouns, which played a crucial role in his political success and leadership during the Civil War. This rhetorical style became a staple for American presidents thereafter. In modern times, the presidential we has gained prominence. President Joe Biden's inaugural address heavily featured first-person plural pronouns, highlighting their continued relevance and power in political discourse. This contrasts with earlier presidents like George Washington, whose use was minimal. Research indicates a notable trend. The overuse of first-person pronouns often correlates with power and potential deceit. High-status individuals, including politicians, tend to favor first-person plurals, projecting an image of cooperation and collectiveness. Psychologist James W. Pennebaker argues that excessive use of first-person plurals can suggest deception. Through language analysis, patterns emerge showing how individuals, particularly those in power, may use pronouns to mask their intentions or mislead. Pennebaker's work includes the development of software to analyze language patterns, revealing how speech can reflect truthfulness. His findings suggest that individuals who frequently use we might be hiding their true intentions behind a facade of collective rhetoric. This insight was applied to the language of the George W. Bush administration, revealing how deceptive pronoun use obscured the truth about the Iraq invasion. This linguistic pattern indicated a deliberate attempt to shield controversial decisions from public scrutiny. To counter this misuse, citizens and editors alike must develop skills to challenge unclear language. By asking probing questions about the intent behind such pronouns, individuals can uncover the true motives of political leaders and hold them accountable. Understanding the context and intention behind pronouns can unveil whether they aim to include the audience or deflect responsibility. This scrutiny helps demystify political speech and encourages transparent communication from those in power. American voters face the task of discerning the true intentions behind political rhetoric. As leaders continue to use the presidential we, citizens must remain vigilant, questioning who truly benefits from political decisions and policies. Ultimately, the responsibility lies with the public to demand clarity and honesty from their leaders. By critically examining political language, Americans can ensure their voices are genuinely included in the collective we that shapes national policy. As the nation heads into crucial elections, the use of collective pronouns by candidates like Donald Trump and Kamala Harris suggests the enduring influence of the presidential we. This tradition may either unify or mislead, depending on the intent behind its use. The future of American politics will likely continue to grapple with the power of pronouns. As citizens, understanding this dynamic can empower informed decision-making and promote a more transparent and accountable government. In conclusion, while the presidential we has historical significance, its modern application requires careful scrutiny. By questioning ambiguous pronoun use, Americans can work towards a political environment that truly reflects we the people.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would...
Happy